As about a 10-year-old boy, I had an uncle that, I still have an uncle, but he's an ardent bird watcher. And it was 1979 when bald eagles were still a rarity, especially back east. And he took me out on an outing to see a pair of bald eagles. And that really captured my imagination for birds as one, and the whole idea that you could bring something back sort of from the brink of extinction. And really, I didn't know it at the time, but I kind of traced my roots back to that moment, actually. As I became of age to go to college and that, looked to going out west, and as I headed west, started a family, continued my interest in the natural world, and really became engaged in the whole sage-grouse conservation issue back in the 90s. That led to some work on lesser prairie chickens in Kansas, where I worked extensively with private landowners on conservation of private lands and important native species. And that landed me here in Oregon, where I've been working on sage-grouse conservation for the last 8 years. So what grouse, the prairie grouse and sage-grouse require, you can look at it at two scales. At the landscape scale, they need large contiguous areas of native grassland or native shrub steppe. At a more localized scale, to conceal their nests, they need tall residual grass cover, they need good sagebrush canopy cover so they can hide their eggs, hide their chicks, they have good forage to survive on. And so where these working landscapes come into play is they provide that. You've got to have, especially out in the west, you've got to have a large landscape to run your operation. Keeping that landscape intact as a native functioning rangeland provides what the cows need, but it also provides what grouse need. And so the concern is that if a cattle operation becomes inviable for economic reasons, and they change their business plan to an ex-urban development, that is, they're going to build homes, or it gets turned into some sort of industrial scale energy development type site, we lose that functionality that's so important for the grouse. Livestock can be used as a tool in really instilling what we call a disturbance regime. And that disturbance regime provides regeneration. So, the use of livestock, specifically as a management tool, helps you to begin a disturbance, to set back ecological succession in some cases. And if you can do that and you do it right, you provide good, young, vibrant growth for, again, a whole suite of other critters out there on the landscape. And so you can move your cows through the landscape, use other tools to get that diversity and that mosaic of habitat that provides a wealth of benefits for other critters. As you look behind me here, you see juniper trees creeping in. And one of the real big success stories here in Oregon is working with private landowners and setting the juniper back so that we're maintaining the integrity of the sagebrush rangeland. And in just the course of the last 3 years, through the NRCS funding programs and willing landowners that want to do good by the sage grouse and also do good by their operation, we've actually affected over 50,000 acres of native rangeland to set juniper back and have a healthy and abundant shrub steppe rangeland, which no question benefits the bottom line for rancher, but also keeps that shrub steppe intact for sensitive species like sage grouse. And the important thing to remember is that these working landscapes, when managed for functioning, healthy native range, are providing a whole suite of values. And so that when somebody is buying a package of beef in LA or New York, they're actually helping to maintain these highly intact ecosystems by keeping those ranchers in business.